The Cabin in the Woods. That shouldn't exist. A long horror mystery story for sleep and night listening. It started with a photograph. Not a phone photo. Not a digital image. A real photograph. The kind printed on old glossy paper. The kind people rarely carried anymore. On a rainy Thursday evening, Ethan Cole found it lying on the windshield of his car. At first, he assumed someone had left it there by accident. But when he picked it up, something felt wrong. The photograph showed a small wooden cabin deep inside a forest. Nothing unusual about that, except for one thing. Standing in front of the cabin was a man. A man who looked exactly like Ethan. Same height, same dark hair, same face, even the same scar above his left eyebrow. Ethan stared at the image. His stomach tightened. Someone was playing a joke. It had to be. Yet when he turned the photo over, he found a handwritten message. Just 6 words. Come before the first snowfall. No signature. No explanation. No address. Nothing. That night, Ethan couldn't sleep. He examined the photograph again and again. The image appeared old. Very old. The corners were worn. The colors slightly faded. Yet the man standing beside the cabin was clearly him. That was impossible. The next morning, he began asking questions. No one knew anything. Friends thought it was a prank. Co-workers laughed. His sister told him to throw the photo away. He almost did. Almost. But curiosity has a strange way of growing stronger when answers are missing. Over the following week, Ethan became obsessed. Every spare moment was spent searching, studying the photograph, comparing landmarks, analyzing trees, mountains, shadows, anything that might reveal the location. Eventually, he noticed something, a distinctive rock formation in the background. After hours of research, he found a match. A remote section of forest, nearly 200 miles north, an area called Black Pine Valley. 3 days later, Ethan packed supplies and drove north. The journey took most of the day. As civilization faded behind him, the roads became narrower, the forests thicker, the silence deeper. By late afternoon, he reached Black Pine Valley. The place felt untouched by time. Towering pine trees blocked much of the sunlight. Fog drifted lazily between the trunks. Even the air seemed older somehow. Locals at a nearby gas station gave strange reactions when he mentioned the forest. One old man stared at the photograph for several seconds, then slowly handed it back. You shouldn't go looking for that place. Why? The old man's face turned pale, because some people find it. He paused, and some people don't come back. Naturally, that only increased Ethan's curiosity. The next morning, he entered the forest. For hours he followed abandoned trails. Most led nowhere. Several disappeared completely, yet something kept drawing him deeper. By late afternoon, clouds covered the sky. The woods grew darker. A cold wind moved through the trees. Then he saw it, a narrow path he could have sworn wasn't there moments earlier. It curved between dense pines, almost hidden. Waiting, Ethan hesitated, then followed it. The path twisted through the forest for nearly 20 minutes. Eventually the trees opened, and there it was. The cabin, exactly as it appeared in the photograph. Every detail matched. The weathered wooden walls, the stone chimney, the crooked porch, even the surrounding trees stood exactly where they should. For several seconds, Ethan simply stared. His heart pounded. The cabin was real, which meant the photograph was real, which meant something else was happening, something he couldn't explain. The front door stood slightly open. A faint light glowed inside. Ethan approached carefully. The forest behind him seemed unnaturally quiet. No birds, no insects, nothing. Only silence. He pushed the door open. The hinges creaked softly. Inside, the cabin looked lived in. A fire burned gently in the fireplace. A kettle sat on the stove. Books lined wooden shelves, yet nobody was there. At least, not at first glance. Then Ethan noticed something sitting on a small table, another photograph. With trembling hands, he picked it up. His blood ran cold. The image showed him, standing inside the cabin, holding the exact photograph he now carried. On the back were written 4 words. You're almost out of time. Ethan dropped the photo. The room suddenly felt smaller, the air colder. Someone had been here, recently, watching him. waiting for him. That night, a storm trapped him inside. Heavy rain hammered the roof. Wind shook the windows. The forest beyond the glass disappeared into darkness. Unable to leave, Ethan explored the cabin. The deeper he searched, the stranger things became. Every room contained evidence of someone studying him. Old photographs, notes, drawings, journal entries, years of observations, his childhood, his teenage years, his adult life. Everything documented, everything recorded, as though someone had spent decades watching him. Then he found the basement. Hidden beneath a trapdoor, a narrow staircase descended into darkness. Carrying a flashlight, Ethan went down. The air smelled damp and ancient. At the bottom stood dozens of filing cabinets, thousands of papers, photographs, maps, records, all related to one person, him. Every decision, every relationship, every major event of his life. Catalogued, preserved, impossible. At the far end of the basement stood a single wooden door. Unlike everything else, it appeared new, recently built. A note was nailed to the center. It read, "Do not open until midnight." Ethan checked his watch. 11:17 p.m., 43 minutes remained. He should have left, should have ignored the note. Instead, he waited, because by then, answers mattered more than fear. The storm continued outside. The cabin groaned softly. Midnight approached. 11:58 p.m., 11:59 p.m. Then, midnight. The door slowly opened by itself. Beyond it was another room, perfectly illuminated, perfectly silent. And sitting at a desk was a man who looked exactly like Ethan. Same face, same voice, same scar, everything. The stranger smiled. "I've been waiting for you." Ethan couldn't speak. His mind struggled to process what he was seeing. "Who are you?" The man leaned back calmly, then gave an answer Ethan would never forget. "I'm the one who stayed." The story continued for hours. The stranger claimed the cabin existed outside ordinary time, a place where different versions of lives intersected, different choices, different paths, different futures. Every few years, one version arrived, looking for answers, just as Ethan had. Some stayed, some left, some disappeared. As dawn approached, Ethan faced a choice: stay in the cabin forever, learn every secret, every possibility, every version of himself, or leave, return to his ordinary life, never fully understanding what he had witnessed. When morning arrived, the cabin was gone. The clearing stood empty. No building, no path, no photographs, nothing. Only forest, only silence, only a single piece of paper lying on the ground. Written across it were the same 6 words that began everything: "Come before the first snowfall." To this day, Ethan never tells people exactly what happened in Black Pine Valley. Most assume he invented the story. Others think it was a hallucination. A few believe him, but every winter, just before the season's first snowfall, he receives a photograph in the mail. Always the same cabin, always the same forest, and always one new message, a message that changes every year, as though someone or something is still waiting, watching. From a cabin in the woods that shouldn't exist,